Welcome to your Illustrator session, number 5. Today we're going to talk about an assignment you're going to get where you've got to take a photo or grab a photo that you've taken that involves both man-made and natural or organic elements, and you've got to redraw it in Illustrator. It's going to take a number of things that are going to be important. You're going to have to edit the photo and know what you want to draw and simplify it. And then you've got to be able to organize it so that it will all fit in an appropriate way and it will work well together, and you don't end up getting lost or getting or losing track of where you are. In doing this, we're going to go through a number of steps, and I want you to follow them. Now, as you watch this, we're not going to go over the whole thing. We're going to do little portions here, little portions there that will help kind of explain what you need to do, and then you're going to need to finish it up. You'll see some examples of finished pieces on your syllabus, and so you can refer to that and see kind of what we're expecting there. First of all, I've got to find the picture that I'm going to use. I want to place a photo. If you try to just open a photo, what's going to happen is you'll lose track of all your colors. It's not going to keep those swatches. All right, here's my image right here. Part of the purpose of this file or of this assignment is to go through and crop out areas that aren't necessary and kind of get an image that's designed maybe a little better for the space. This is where I'm going to do that image. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle over the top of it. Select both of these images. So I'll get my black arrow and just drag over both. Go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And there's my image. Now I can go in and change this. In fact, I am going to change it just a little bit. I think I want that picture up just a little higher. I don't really want to see the top of that dome. I just want to see that portion. I'm also going to crop this image just a little bit. So I'll select on the edge of that box with my white arrow. And when you do that with the clipping mask, it will allow you to select those areas that you want specifically to be able to move. Okay, so I'm going to have that. Now, I've already done a version of this, and what I've done is I've printed it out in black and white, and I've kind of defined the areas and how they're breaking down. This is really useful to me because I have to edit out this information. If I zoom in really close here, I really don't need to see all of this brick. I don't need to see all of this, but what I do want is this simplified shape right here. What I do want is some irregularity right here to create the sense that there's some relief sculpture and stuff like that. I have a little bit of variation in my sky. You'll see that some of it is actually faked a little bit. I don't have that much in there, but I'm giving it to just so that I can have a little better look for it. So I would suggest that you take your image and print it out in black and white before you do anything, and go through with a pen or a pencil and simplify those shapes and decide what it is you're going to draw. Just hide this and I'll come back into Illustrator and we'll work. Now, the first layer I have is, of course, my template. And I'm going to lock it because I don't want to have to cause any problems. I don't want to deal with anything at all that might mess that up. So I'm just going to leave that there. Now I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call this Sky. And then I'm going to create another layer. And what I want to do is break this up into different layers. This sky is one major element. This building is another major element. And then this foreground is another major element right here. And so I'll break this up so that I can simplify what it is I'm drawing. I'll put 2 new layers in. Layer 3 is going to be the building. Layer 4 is, of course, the foreground. Okay, and there we go. Now, what I'm going to do, and I'll put, later on I might put one more frame in, or one more layer in, and you'll see that, and you'll see why. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the sky. I'm going to push my spacebar and command key, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this because I want to see these colors. Now, I'm not going to use my eyedropper tool to scan the colors because it's not going to give me an accurate color. In fact, if we zoom in close, you'll see that these colors are actually a combination of lots of different colors. And so the eyedropper is only going to select an individual color. It's not going to give me an accurate color. And besides, in this project, I really am not concerned about making it look perfectly real as much as I'm trying to take a bunch of abstract elements and when they're combined, use them in order to create a realistic looking image. Okay. All right, so first of all, I'm going to work on the sky. I'm going to come over here to my colors, get on my foreground color, and I'm going to come here in my slider and get a really light pale blue, maybe about like that. And we can kind of hold this over here, see how close. That's pretty good. I'm going to put a little more cyan in it and a little more magenta so that I get the color that I want, about right there. Now, in my swatch palette, and we did this with the name, and go ahead and just drag. I'm going to make a color family or a color group. We'll call this our Napoleon colors. I think I misspelled that. Napoleon? I don't know. And I'm going to drag the colors for this into there. Now I've got this light blue. Now I'm going to make a blue that's a little bit darker. So I'll slide this up and add a little more magenta, a little more cyan, and darken this. Drag that over into that folder. I'm going to drag it up a little bit more, and I'm going to darken up just a little bit more like that. And those three colors, oops, I've got to make sure I get it in the folder. Those three colors will make up my sky. Now they won't make up my cloud, and I'm going to have to do that again in a moment, but you'll see how we're going to accomplish that. All right. At this point, I didn't want to do that. Let me separate those. Okay, at this point I'm going to create my sky. I'm going to get my pen tool, and the great thing about this is that I don't have to deal with any of these edges because later on I can cover them up. So I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to cover it up with that dark blue, just like that. We want to make sure that we finish up where we start. So this represents the darkest color of that sky in the background. What I need to do in order to be able to see what I'm drawing, I've got to come right over here to my tool palette and toggle those colors so that I have a stroke around there. Now this is very similar to what we did with the name, only in this case it's going to be a much more complex image, and we've also got to be able to create a series of dimensions and things like that working on it. So here's our darkest blue. Now we'll deselect, and I'm going to make a little bit lighter blue. So I'll take that lighter color blue, the second color that I did, and now I'm going to bring that just right kind of along here. And I'm going to give a little bit of variation in it just to create some interest. Now, it doesn't really do that, but I want that just so that I can have something that looks just a little more interesting than what we had already. So there's that. Now I'm going to come back in here because I don't really like that shape. They seem a little rough. So I'm going to just vary those shapes a little bit. Now I need this lighter color. So I'll deselect, get my lighter color and drag it to that stroke. I do that so that I can see what's behind it. And now I'm going to come in here and create this lighter color. So you're going to draw these multiple colors, and these are going to end up making your sky. Now I've got to do these clouds a little bit. What I'm going to do is use some of this light blue color, and then I'll probably come in with a little bit of white over the top of it. Let me show you how I'll do it right here. Actually for right here and right here. This is really, really light. So I'm actually going to just take this lighter blue color that I already have, and I'm going to come around here, and I can see a little bit of variation right here. Now notice I'm not getting too close, and while I'm not really following it, I am also making sure that those shapes are still semi-graceful. So here's that line. Now I'm going to get the lighter color blue, the very lightest blue that I'd done. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create just a little hint of a lighter area of that cloud. Now, even though, it's not going to really matter, it doesn't necessarily look like a cloud, but when it's surrounded, things are identified by what they're surrounded by. When it's surrounded by the sky and you see that variation, it will give the sense that it's a cloud. Now I'm going to select this and come here. But now I've got to come down here, and it's not going to make sense to use that middle blue in this area because that's already middle blue. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and get that lightest blue. I'm going to come around here and make this shape. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger in the bottom. And I'm going to kind of create my own cloud there. It's your own little world, right? Now, with that made, I'm going to go ahead and get on this color again. If I double click on the stroke, it'll give me this. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter because now I can come in and I have to make this just a little lighter in order to be able to give the sense that I've got a value change in that cloud. Alright, now let's see how this looks. In fact, I could even take that white and put it down here. We'll see how it looks. I might do that later. First, I'm going to select this color, and if I push Shift X, it will automatically swap them. Now I'm going to come here, select that. I'm going to go to Select, Same Stroke Color, and it will select all of those. Push Shift X, and we'll swap them. Now I'll select this, push Command 6. We'll select everything with that same stroke color. It would be the same as if you go to Select, Same. Just Command 6 is reselect. So I'll push Shift X, I'll swap them. And I'm going to come here, Command 6, Shift X. And that's what I get for my sky. Now, I kind of want to make some changes in this. So I think I want a little bit lighter color along here. So I'm just going to select this, toggle that back, select this one, toggle it back, select this, toggle it back. Now I'll grab that white, and I'm going to come down in here and try to create just a little bit more highlight in that area. Like that. Okay, now let's see how our sky looks. Très bon. I think that means really good, very good in French. So actually this is maybe a little light, so I'm going to select that. I'll go into my color palette, make it just a little darker here. Yeah, that darkened it up just a little bit. Now if you want to see what it sort of looks like, squint your eyes a little bit and it will start to simplify those shapes. If they don't look like they're fitting very well, you may need to go in and adapt them a little bit. Perhaps this right here needs to have just a little more magenta in it, just to get a little bit closer color to what's going on through there. And that looks actually a little better. This may be a little more magenta and a little more blue to darken it. A little more cyan, I guess. It's too much. There we go. I like that. Now that's a little better. Actually, I'm going to even darken this one up just a little bit too. That looks good to me. That works for me. Okay. Now we're going to come back in a moment, and we're going to go ahead and work